Hello, and welcome to day one of our Spring Break at Home Camp 2021. I'm Leslie, Director of Education at the United States Marshals Museum, and I am so glad you could join me today. This week, we're going to be talking about the Marshals in Indian Territory. This is the time period that most people think of when they think of the Marshals. Usually, when we talk about this time, we're talking about the years 1875 until about 1907, so about 110 to 150 years ago. That sounds like a long time, doesn't it? But when you think about how far back history goes, it's really not that far. Have you ever heard of the Old West? That's what a lot of people call this time period. Oklahoma was not a state yet, but instead the area was called Indian Territory. This was because of the Indian tribes that moved there about 40 years before. And we're going to learn more about that on day 4. Indian Territory was part of the Western District of Arkansas, and marshals that were stationed in Fort Smith were in charge of keeping the peace and upholding the law there. They were the only law enforcement agency that had jurisdiction there. It was a big area, about 74,000 square miles. Looking for outlaws there was about like looking for a needle in a haystack, but the marshals somehow managed to find them. Some of the more common crimes committed in Indian Territory were selling illegal items to the Native Americans, stealing government property, and stealing the mail. When we learn about this time period, we often hear about train robberies and stagecoach holdups. At this time, there were no radios, no phones, no computers, no cars. Can you imagine living without those things and trying to track down outlaws without them? Marshals would get the names of the outlaws they were hunting for on warrants, such as the one you see here, then ride out on their horses to find them. Being a marshal in Indian Territory was a hard and dangerous job. They worked to track down criminals that didn't want to be found and definitely didn't want to be taken back to Judge Parker's court. Some marshals were very good at their jobs, but others didn't stay marshals for long. They didn't get much training, which made the job that much harder. And for all that work, what did they get? Deputy marshals were paid on what is called a fee system. For each individual job they did, they got paid a certain amount. So if you rode out to bring back an outlaw, you would get $2 and 6 cents a mile on the way there, 10 cents a mile on the way back, because you had to provide for the needs of your prisoner. For finding a witness, you got 50 cents and mileage on the way there, but not on the way back. It was hard to make a good living as a marshal, and they didn't make much, even for that time period. Marshals didn't usually travel by themselves. It was just too dangerous. They usually traveled with a cook, a guard, and up to 3 posse members. Posse were like special deputies that could help them search out outlaws. The guard could watch those that had been caught while the deputy and posse searched for others. Now, people all over the country were reading about what was going on here in the Western District and Indian Territory. Here are some newspaper articles that were published in other states across the country. Sometimes, as you'll see, it wasn't just the outlaws committing the crimes. On our left-hand side here, we see On Bill Cook's Trail. It is thought that the Marshal of Arkansas can catch the outlaw. This was published in San Francisco, California. On the right-hand side, we see The Queen of Outlaws, the romantic career of Belle Starr, published in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And in the center, we have A Den of Government Thieves in Arkansas. And this is talking about a marshal and deputy marshals who were creating fake jobs so that they could claim the pay. This was published in Nashville, Tennessee. Can you imagine what life must have been like? Would you have wanted to be a marshal then? I'm not so sure. Things continued like this until about 1907 when Oklahoma became a state. When that happened, they were able to hire more law enforcement officers, such as local and state officers. Many of the marshals that had patrolled Indian Territory moved on to other law enforcement agencies. For example, Bass Reeves retired from the marshals at this time. He was 70 years old and had been a marshal for 32 years. We're going to learn more about him tomorrow. According to most, Oklahoma statehood is considered about the end of the Old West period. Now, when the Marshals Museum opens to the public, you'll be able to experience this time period in our Frontier Marshals Gallery. This gallery is going to cover everything from the early original marshals through this Old West period and into Oklahoma statehood. You'll be able to learn about things here like how they tracked the outlaws, how they lived on the land, and other things about being a marshal in the Western District and Indian Territory. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Today's activity is to create a shadow box of a picture that comes to mind when you think about Indian Territory based on what you've learned today. In your camp kit, you'll find a box and items you can use to decorate it. And also feel free to use anything else you have around your house. Thank you for joining me. I hope you'll join me tomorrow as we talk about famous marshals in Indian Territory. Have a wonderful day.